Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the Olivet City Council to order. It is September 27th. It is 7:01 p.m. We are in the City Council chamber. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Waldman.
Here.
Councilmember Knox.
Here.
Chairman Pro Tem.
Here.
Mayor.
Absence with excuse. Next item, please.
Next item is City Manager's Report. Hang.
Right. Thank you. So kind of some news updates before we kind of get into some new items. The TIF notes were issued today for the Olive Crossing development. And so that is kind of our next phase. When the project's completed, that's when we'll do the bonds. So this is kind of a big day for the project. Another big thing happening, as I told you at the last meeting, East Central Dispatch Center was converting to a new computer aided dispatch or CAD system on Monday of this week. The transition did occur and really without incident. There's always glitches when you're moving over. There's still things people are learning, still things that we're trying to figure out. But really with when you consider the extent of the data and the importance of that, of it going out and people getting to calls, I think it did really well. And that is to the credit of the ECDC administration and staff, along with our Olivet Fire and Police personnel who are utilizing the new software. As I said before, this is a system that improves mapping services, easier data entry at dispatch, and increased coordination with other dispatch centers. We have talked at department head meeting to have the chiefs do a presentation at an upcoming work session so the council could kind of see how the CAD system works. And the comprehensive plan steering committee and other news that is also being assembled, and we anticipate meetings starting in the next few weeks. Senior planner Don Doty is preparing a presentation for the October 18th work session. Again, notice that's a different date regarding the 2020 census data. And this is in response, as the council may recall, that one of your goals is to better understand the city's demographics and how that data has changed since 2010. And I think that'll be a really good presentation. We probably will video that just to have the presentation. Building permits plans for the easy storage were submitted on September 21st. And you may have seen in the news or in other areas that some easy storage facilities have been sold to Life Storage. They're now called Life Storage. The one in Olivet still remains the property of Easy Storage. The PCDC took up draft regulations concerning medical cannabis at the September 15th meeting. No action was taken. They'll be talking about that again in their next couple of meetings. And the Planning and Community Development monthly report contains information on businesses within Olivet. They've taken, as you recall, we have moved the business and merchant licenses due to the kind of the end of more April. It used to be due in February. So that data now is being compiled into using the geospatial system that we have. And you can really get a good sense of the businesses in Olivet. And it's the diversity of the business sectors that we have, I think would be surprising. So I encourage you all to take a look at that, as well as the fact that, just through that licensing, we found there's over 5,300 people coming into Olivet every day to work. John Sella, who's the developer of the Plant Haven, spoke to the EDC at their last meeting. You'll recall that it's going to be an outdoor plant garden, indoor gift and event space. And you can see some of the photo on the left is actually, that's a couple of weeks old. They now have that paved and more work done. But that's the inside, kind of gives you a sense of the space on the inside. He also noted at the EDC that other tenants would include an office service provider, a printer that does higher end printing, and a restaurant. He has not specified who, although we do know that I believe UPS is going to be one of the tenants in that building. The Recreation and Park staff and program updates beginning October 17th, which seems far away and is really only a few weeks away. All recreation classes will be held at the city center here at the community rooms. The rec staff and administration are going to move into their temporary locations here at the city center on November 2nd. The park staff, -1, will move into the new maintenance facility sometime in late October. The reason we're doing these transitions now is so that we can start the abatement process in November, December, and then have the demolition of the old community center happen over those winter months, so that in the spring they can get right in and complete construction of the play areas and the splash pad. The trainings that the fire department had included ground ladder and aerial ladder training. And the Olivet Police Department want to remind folks that yes, there have been some break-ins and thefts of certain vehicles, and that is a regional issue that we're facing, that they have increased patrols. And they are also doing much more information sharing on a daily basis, both within their shifts and between the shifts, but also interagency with regional law enforcement. And that's really where I think that collaboration between the regional departments, all the departments in that area, is where we're going to really benefit as a region to address this issue. We remind people the easiest way to help us help you is to lock your vehicles and do not leave valuables in the car. You will be surprised at the number of guns that are stolen from vehicles. Missouri American has a great laid plan for main replacement projects that are to begin January 2023. We utilize the information that they give us so that we can coordinate some of our road projects when they're in an area doing main replacements. And so Bruce McGregor works really closely with Missouri American Water as they're start to roll out their plans 6 months ahead. And that is why today he got a call about a water main project that is also starting at Engel today. So that didn't work as well, but you can see the other areas. They're really going to be up in the Indian Meadows area in January of 2023. They are starting Engel actually tomorrow. We did not, we're not aware of that. And Bruce is reviewing the plans. And when he speaks on the sewer lateral later, he will be able to tell you what he thinks about Missouri American Water. Our public works folks have been out painting crosswalks and stop bar pavement markings. Bruce has a new assistant at Public Works who's been doing actually an excellent job there on the right. Bruce likes to put things into his monthly report and see if I catch them. Things that have happened over this last kind of month. We had the Battle of the Bands blood drive. That was a success. And who won? Sorry, Chief Andruski, can you say who won? Okay. The council and the park commission took a tour of the new community center in the facility, and it was really cool. It also got really cooled off when it poured. Youth soccer has been doing fabulous in the fields. Our night out, we have a couple of new pictures now from night out that we'll be able to start sharing. And we had our first event in Stacy Park, our first party in the park. It was kind of party in the park light. And it was a great opportunity to showcase the work that's been occurring at Stacy Park in particular, but really all our parks. If people went there and they didn't get excited about the improvements occurring in the parks, they're just not park people. Because it's looking great. And kudos to the staff for putting that together. We have a retirement coming up. Sergeant Mike Waite is going to be retiring in early October with 27 years of service in the city. Sergeant Waite has requested that we not in any way mark this occasion. And so with that, Sergeant Waite, do you want to come up and say a few words? Or yeah. Well, thank you for your service. Sergeant Wade has done a great job. And I just love this picture of you folks at the turkey trot. And it's also a good segue to remind people that our 9th annual Olivet 5K turkey trot is on Thanksgiving Day. And so again, 27 years is a long time, not quite as long as some others, but but still worthy. I was talking with Mike earlier and he had gotten his bachelor's degree and was working another job. And then some of his friends were police officers and they told him he should just do the academy and, you know, see if that would work. And he's decided as of today that it's working out okay. That is.
Oh, I thought he didn't think it wasn't.
His only question is, why did we get a new CAD system the last week of his employment? So. Upcoming events, we have the Planning and Community Design Commission, October 6th at 7 p.m. Coffee with a Cop is October 6th from 9 to 11. The national, you might notice National Coffee with a Cop is actually on the 5th. We're celebrating on the 6th due to the holidays. City Council meeting is October 11th at 7 p.m. We have a Coffee with the Mayor, October 12th, 8:45 a.m. right here. The guest is Bruce McGregor, where he will again give his opinion of Missouri American Water. And the Great Olivet Clean Out is October 13th from 4 to 7 p.m. and it's at Stacy Park. At City Council October work session has been scheduled to October 18th at 7 p.m. And the Park and Recreation Commission is October 19th at 7 p.m. And we have our Harvest Festival, October 22nd, Saturday from 7 to 9. That's going to be at the Olivet Community Center. It will be the last event we have at the community center. And we are working on kind of a variety of plans for parking because we do have some limited parking now, but I think the staff has worked to find some alternatives. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, next item.
Excuse me.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I was waiting for you to
I
acknowledge.
didn't see a hand.
I was just waiting
Then
for
I
you.
noticed the look.
That's all. right.
Sorry.
I was watching.
Councilperson-
Okay. Thank you very much for your report, Ms. Sondag. A couple things I want to follow up on, just to follow up, and if you got to get back to me later, fine. I was driving home on Dillman Road and I saw that there's blue paint markings, arrow markings or whatever on the bike path right at the end there by Dillman Road. Do we know what that blue marking is all about?
No, but we can find out.
Okay, great. Couple things with regard to Stacy Park. Yeah, I wasn't able to be there Saturday. I'm sorry that I wasn't there. Something else was just more important in my life. But I did go there Sunday and I did run into Corey, who was very gracious to acknowledge me, even though I was not remembrance of him. So again, tell Corey I appreciate that. And I walked around and everything looks beautiful. Your bench looks beautiful. I hope to have one day in honor of my parents and my sister. I'd like to look into that. And I saw a couple things there that lead me to a couple questions. One is a broken cement corner. I know I'm being picky, but this is, forgive me for being selfish here right now. This is my house. This is our city, and I'm going to look at it as if I look at it, you know, as new construction. So and I took photographs. I'll be glad to send it to you and Bruce. And then the rings that are at the base of the handrails on the steps going up to the pavilion. There's rings on the bottom. Are those rings supposed to be loose, or are those rings supposed to be secure at the bottom of the banners there?
I would have to look into that.
Yeah. I realize it, and that's acknowledged. So those are the couple of things that I saw that led me to want to ask some questions, and I sent you a photograph when you answered that one, so I greatly appreciate it. Those are the two things I did want to bring up. Nothing in regards to your, oh, wait a minute, I do have one more thing in regards to your report. So Barb, Easy Storage, they're not changing their name now. Maybe they'll change their name later. Maybe they'll change their ownership later. We gave them some level of some form of incentive of some type. I know what they're telling us now, But do we have a window of time? Is there a length of time that if they do sell, that they have to deal with whatever we've offered them? I don't recall.
It was a
what-
chapter 100
Mhm.
that you entered into.
Oh, that was
agreement
some
with them
sales
with the
tax.
development agreement, and any change in ownership would need to be approved by the council.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Mhm.
Chairman Pro Tem. Thank you.
And just to clarify, the Stacy Park, we had our first event there, but they're still working on it. They're still completing the pavilion. They're still doing work on there. So a lot of the things that get brought up are going to be punch list items if they're not already fixed.
Okay, any other questions for the city manager? Seeing none, next item, please.
Next item is communications. We have a presentation.
Chairman Pro Tem, I believe we have a proclamation that's going to be read.
Okay.
Park and Recs Director Beverly Tucker Knight, if you wouldn't mind coming up and doing the ceremony.
Good evening, council, mayor, and our audience members. My name is Beverly Tucker Knight, and I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Olivet. And this evening, we're honoring an employee, Leonard Perry, who's retiring after 35 years with the City of Olivet. And we have a proclamation issued by the mayor that unfortunately the mayor isn't with us this evening, but she will be signing it this week when she returns. And what I would like to do is read this proclamation. So 35 years is a long time. So we have a little bit longer proclamation. So bear with me. So this proclamation recognizes the contributions of Leonard Perry. Whereas Leonard Perry began his professional career with the City of Olivet in 1987 in the Olivet Police Department as Animal Control Officer, where he developed excellent customer service skills that have been an asset to the city for over 35 years. And whereas during his time with the city, Leonard expanded his construction, maintenance, and equipment knowledge and transferred to the Public Works Department as a limited equipment operator. And whereas Leonard continued honing his skills and studied emergency medical services and moved into the newly formed Parks and Recreation Department as Equipment Operator 1. And whereas through the years, Leonard continued advancing and was promoted to Equipment Operator 2 and appointed crew lead of the Parks Division. And whereas Leonard shared his knowledge generously, becoming an accomplished trainer, benefiting coworkers and volunteers. And whereas through working in the Olivet Parks, Leonard is on a first name basis with hundreds of residents and is chief park problem solver. And whereas unflappable, calm in a crisis, Dr. Perry led the Parks Division through snow and ice storms, wind shear aftermath, staff vacancies, reorganizations, injuries, aging plumbing systems, athletic field floodings, lost pets and parents, special events, and countless other challenges with his trademark, "We got this." And whereas, although Leonard is retiring from the City of Olivet, his contributions, friendships, and physical projects will last for years to come in the parks and on the Parks and Recreation team. And therefore be it resolved that I, Maxine Weil, Mayor of the City of Olivet, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim September 26th through the 30th, 2022 as Leonard Perry Week. And furthermore, I'd like to take this time to thank Leonard for his 35 years of hard work, dedication, outstanding service to the residents, employees, and volunteers of the City of Olivet, and to wish him good health and happiness as he embarks on his retirement. So, Leonard, would you like to say anything? You're welcome to. No.
Well, everyone that know me, that I'm a man of few words, pretty much quiet guy, but I enjoy my time here working with the city of Olivet, and I met a lot of close friends here. It's a very emotional time for me. It's hard, but it's time for me to retire and enjoy the rest of this, a new chapter in my life and everything. But I gave it my all and had a good time here, met some good people. And I thank the city, the opportunity to work here. There's so many people to thank and everything, but can't thank everybody, but thank the people from the past that I used to work with too, that's no longer here, God rest their soul. But the present, everything's great and the city's going in a good direction. Thanks, Bell and Bob. Appreciate it.
At this
Sure.
time with proclamations, we invite people up for photographs with Leonard. And would you like to?
Well, the chief.
Oh, the chief.
I'm sorry,
Oh, excuse me.
Like to say a few words.
First of all, I've known Leonard for 35 years and we were both young back then. Leonard is a special guy. We knew each other as employees. He worked in the police department. He needed a third baseman, so he got me to go out and plan his team with Merle. And what you've left your mark on this city. You left your mark with the residents. You've left your mark with fellow employees and the future employees. You trained them, they know, they looked up to you. Like I said, you're special, Leonard. We're gonna miss you. Don't be a stranger. We've got to get that employee
Holiday party
Party
going
back.
again.
and we expect you to be there. And to your wife, Odessa, you got a great guy there, and he's one in a million. Thank you for your service, Leonard.
Leonard, I really just wanted to add to that. Hey, don't stay away. We're going to have holiday parties. It's my favorite thing. I want to see you. I want to see your wife there too. God bless you. All the best.
I didn't get a chance to work with you, but listening to what everybody said, I'm really sorry that I didn't. But it speaks volumes about you. We live in a society now where there's no loyalty between employees and organizations and companies, and people just come and go. But for you to dedicate a lifetime, and I mean a lifetime, to the city, that speaks volumes to you. And what they've done for you, I believe, shows the true love that they have got for you. And I'm proud to be part of this organization too. And I'm glad that you were here too. I worked for AT&T for almost 20 years. They didn't give me a parking spot, but you got a proclamation. But I'm happy for you, sir. And I wish I had a chance to work with you, but it looks like you've got a fine supervisor right next to you to keep you going. Congratulations, sir. I hope the rest of your life is the best of your life.
Again, I didn't really get a chance to work with you either, but it's just an amazing career. I know you're going to be very, very hard to replace. I expect Beverly will be putting in for 2 people to do that. Anyway, I would like to, again, thank you for your long years of service. It was a dedicated career. I hope you enjoy whatever is coming next. And that you have a long time to enjoy your retirement and your pension. So thank you very much.
I'm up for an old timer softball game. If you want to put it together.
That's, that'd be great for everyone who's retired to participate.
Can we be covered on
No,
workers' comp?
no workers' comp, no.
No.
I
But we will
believe that
remember
I
that.
believe that there's some, if people want to take some photos, and then we're
Yep.
going to take just maybe a 5 to 10 minute break for some cake, and then we'll come back.
Great. So Leonard, if you'd like to come up. So we'd like to do
Okay, next item, please.
Next item is city council reports.
Okay, we'll start. Well, she's playing with her earphones, so we'll start down here. Do you have anything to report?
I don't have anything to report.
All right.
I have nothing to report at this time.
And I know Councilperson Waldman will, so let's go ahead.
Let's get it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do. I attended the Municipal League Legislative Affair Committee meetings that have been going on since the middle of September. At our last meeting, we went ahead and we prioritized the legislative issues that we feel need to be worked on this year. And the first one we prioritize is the streaming legislation. We oppose the elimination of the right-of-way fees, which is Senate Bill 1232. We support repeal of the extension of the franchise-free reduction legislation. And we support formation of the right-of-way task force, which was something that was supposed to be created before any means of lessening the percentage of right-of-way fees that we get to collect. The second legislative issue is the home-based businesses. This is not going to be fixed by repealing the legislation. It will be fixed by some level of language. Municipal League has hired a lawyer to help with this language fix. The legislation is to fix conflicting home-based business legislation. We wanted to allow municipalities to require licensing of all home-based businesses. It is a public safety issue and a great concern to all communities. The third issue is a sales tax legislation. This is Senate Bill 759, municipal sales tax cap at 4.5%. Municipalities can designate sales tax use for voter approval. Need to ensure fire and school districts are not given sales tax authority. This would allow us to go up to 4.5% on our sales tax. I think we're at 2.5 or something now, but I don't know and I don't recall directly. The fourth item will be the Sunshine Law. It is the protection of residents' contact information, protection of juvenile contact information, and protection of public safety GIS data. And the fifth item is the sovereignty immunity. This is a House Bill 2690 last year with the Groot. Currently, the governing body of each political subdivision of the state is allowed to purchase liability insurance for tort claims. This bill defines purchases as only the direct acquisition by the governing body of a political subdivision of insurance coverage from an insurance company or other business entity, and does not include any indirect action by contact or otherwise including but not limited to requiring additional coverage or insured status under the insurance policy of another person or entity. And he went into the discussion of a contract with the contractor and wanting to add this onto the insurance liability issue. And that is gonna be the final conversation that we will have at our October 8th, October 6th meeting to firm these 5 items up. And then we will announce what the legislative matters will be at the Municipal League meeting for all municipalities at the October meeting later on in October. Last but not least, City of Olivet will be hosting a Municipal League meeting on February 23rd, 2023. I thank my council members for the responses and my ability to make sure that we were all here, not make it a month when someone was not going to be here. So thank you for that. That is all I think I have. Chairman. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Councilperson Waldman. Next item, please.
Next item is the monthly financial report for August of 2022.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members here. We have our 2-month, our August, July and August monthly financial report in front of us here. Revenues are above our expectations, and then expenditures there below our expectations by 116,000. Driving that revenue favorable variance is a couple things. One is our use tax. We can see a chart sitting there. We'll talk about that here in a second. We have a miscellaneous income, or this other income has shot up a little bit, and that's because of a insurance claim that we received, funding or the money for that. And then on a more, I guess, outstanding note, or another note of kind of good news is one of the brighter spots we see happen here through July and August is our the soccer revenue was what exceeded the expectations, and I think the program's going really well, and so that's a good sign as we move forward through the rest of our year in the recreation program. So hopefully that can keep up. On the expenditure side, it's something we're going to see that favorable variance of 116,000 will probably stay around, continue to grow a little bit. When we build our budgets, we had if you were to look inside the departments themselves, planning is one in particular. There's 2 new positions in the planning department, and then also the comprehensive plan is in there. Well, we kind of spread those out when it comes to salaries and some of those other expenditures. And without those being hired quite yet, we're going to see some favorable personnel variances there until those things come around, and then they'll catch up. So as we look at that, note those things. So the use tax chart there, you can see there how it's done fairly favorable. We've talked about this and seen this chart maybe a couple of times, but we're in the year of the darker yellow right there on the left, and you can see that's the best couple months we've ever had, and that's following the lighter yellow, which is also kind of stays well above most of those other 6 years there. So that's what we're looking at there. Right now, it's still showing. I didn't predict that really large spike we see right there in August, but we're above our expectations. But we did elevate our expectations during our budgeting, and hopefully those will hold out. From there, we see our reserve policy analysis, and again, we're well above that. We fight with this at 5 years at 75%, but the 50% for the 1 year FY13 stuff stays pretty manageable for now. From there, most of the stuff I've kind of went over. Utility taxes look like they're going to give us trouble this year. They didn't last year, and they had all the previous years. So we'll probably continue to talk about that as well. From there, last month we talked about our sales taxes not meeting our expectations because of some sharing, and we can go to the next page and it'll show us the chart we saw. One of them we saw last year, and we're looking if we could, just to the right of that. And what we see far to the right, the green took a big shot up, and that's our sales tax distributed. So that's what we got to keep. The sales tax collected is the white line there. See, it decreased, and so then the sharing decreased. And that's kind of what we expect to see. And so what does that mean? It means that our sales taxes came back to expectations this year, and they're right on target. I did include one chart here that we'll never see, but we're talking about tax rates here. And why don't we ever see property tax chart? And that's because they're boring. Here's what we see on the blue is our current real estate taxes, and those are in millions. They're 1.4. What we went from 1.38 far to the left, all the way to 1.56. So you gain $200,000 in revenue in 7 years. And so the one on the top there, right there, the green is personal property tax, and that ranges from 205 all the way up to 260, 265, probably 270. And so they create boring charts. Now that's really, if we're talking about revenues and providing services, things like police and fire, those are great. That's great news, isn't it? Really boring charts, easy to predict revenue with services that don't change very quickly. So that's what we don't see very often. The ups and downs here, more than what we see is the assessment years versus non-assessment years. It'll go up a little bit. And then the other thing that affects here is we see more than anything is what inflation does. And we had a inflation, look at the chart a little bit here in a little bit again. But in 19 into 20, we had a higher inflation. What we see? We see a little bit higher revenues as they come forward. So that's, I brought that in there just to show it's not very exciting. That really would conclude what I have for a report for this month. But if I'm more than happy to bring some stuff, anything different if you want to see next time, or if you want to, if I have any questions, I can take a stab at it.
Any questions for the finance director? We have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Mann.
Mhm.
Next item, please.
The next item is hearing from citizens.
Do we have anybody? No? Okay, do we have anybody online? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item.
The next item is Bill number 2983, an ordinance fixing the annual rate of tax levy for 2022 on all property within the city of Olivet, providing for the extension of said taxes on the books of the collector by the county clerk, and providing for the collection thereof. Second reading and public hearing.
Mr. Mann.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. We have our second reading for our tax rates tonight, and the state statute requires us to have a public hearing on these tax rates. So usually we would open it up now if you
Okay.
if you'd like to do that.
Like to open the public hearing on tax rates.
Good.
Please
Right,
proceed.
we do have a couple charts and a memo there. I won't go through much of you're fine. The process itself, it starts at the county. There's some state involvement with the state auditor to certify these tax rates. The county, we do our work here tonight. The county collects the tax for us. Well, citizens pay their taxes also in the meantime of that, which is a really important step. We get the money back and then we, provide the services. We do have three taxes here. There's a general fund tax that runs that funds portions of fire, police, planning, finance, all of us, everything here. There's a roughly 1/4 cent per 100 tax that goes to fund the pension, the employee's pension. And then there's another 0.42%, so 42 hundredths that goes for debt service, which is right now is this building here for the 2014 original issue that's now been refunded, and then the 2020 issue for the parks and new community center. So those are the three parts there, and we have we can see, yep, our tax rates are sitting there. If we go down to the memo, we go, there's just a couple things that are, so this is a non-assessment year. The even years 2022 tax year is a non-assessment year, and that's what we see at the bottom chart. Sorry, that little table there, pretty flat. The bigger number there that we would look at is new construction. And the new construction number is one of the biggest kind of revenue generators in in any year. And we've been very fortunate here with the residential, on the residential front, and then have worked very hard over the last 7, 8, 20 years on that commercial front to get this new construction number kind of up and stabilize the assessments. So that's what we see there. Flat, again, non-assessment year. That's what we'd expect. The next chart, the next page, we see what I would describe as an inverse relationship between our property tax rates and our assessments. And next slide, please. There. So this right here is the residential chart, and as the blue line in the back goes up, which is the assessments, and then the tax rates kind of go down. And the reason is as we would all know it as like the Hancock Amendment, and that's to not stabilize our revenue, but it's to keep the revenue flat on those charts that we just saw on, even though the assessments that we see here in the blue go up a lot. And then on the next chart there, we can see a little bit of an anomaly here, but overall, as we look at those, the 10 years worth of stuff here, we see an inverse relationship between the blue and the green. Now, what do we see here? The anomaly is, of course, 2021 and then 2022. And if we remember a couple of months ago, or last month, we reported that we had missed our budget for our property taxes. And there's lots of different reasons. We're going to look into what that does. and how it happened. But essentially what happened is we kind of set our tax rates on bad figures provided by the county. And so luckily, the legislature, the statutes that set our tax rates allow us to capture that, recapture that revenue from the year before. So for whatever with the figures that we lost the revenue last year, we now get to regain it. And that's why we see that anomaly of increasing or essentially flat assessments in that blue line right there, but a larger green. So and that was the anomaly there was, I guess the assessment figures were not correct when we set our tax rates last year. We get to deduct. It was only for the commercial properties, not for the residential. So that's what we see there. And maybe most importantly, when we come into this and a bigger picture is, are we going to meet our budgets that we set this year? And it appears yes. The county takes 1% of all the collections for their trouble in the assessment and billing part of that. And then people don't pay their taxes on time for many reasons. And so it results in us a little bit above 95% by the next June we've collected of the current year taxes. And so with those figures, the collection we need to do this is about 98, 95, 97%. So we're real close and should make it overall in that property tax, the property tax categories. So with that, that would be the conclusion of what I would have for our tax rates for this year. The next thing piece is just the public notice that we are required to do through state statutes. The only other note I'd see that we don't have anything here, and it's unrelated to the tax setting, but it affects our assessments, is we do have for the first time an increment for the TIF in the property tax side. And so that's on the construction in progress there. So that's a positive. Again, you don't see this anywhere in here, but that is a note that you won't see anywhere really. With that concludes my presentation. If anybody has for the public hearing.
First of all, we'll start with the council. No questions. All right. Are there any questions from the public? Line? If anybody wishes to speak regarding the tax rates, please raise your hand. If you're online, you can raise your hand electronically. Okay, I see none. We'll close the public hearing.
I do not. I was ready for that. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve Bill 2983, an ordinance fixing the annual rate of tax levy for 2022 on all property within the city of Olivet, providing for the extension of said taxes on the books of the collector by the county clerk, and providing the collection thereof is presented. I was going to go into those figures, but I guess I won't. Go ahead.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman,
Yes.
motion passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill number 2983 becomes ordinance number 2754.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Next item, please.
The next item is Bill number 2984, an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 1463 and adopt in lieu a new ordinance to authorize Good Faith LLC, a special permit used to operate a gasoline station with convenience store on the property grounds addressed as 9680 Olive Boulevard. Second reading and public hearing.
Okay, Mr. Trejo, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Carl Trejo. I am the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Olivet, and tonight I'm here to present Bill number 2984 in terms of through a public hearing. So we can commence the public hearing.
Yes. I will now open the public hearing for special permit use at 9680 Olive Boulevard.
So this is a Bill 2984. It's a authorization to issue a special permit to the property addresses 9680 Olive Boulevard to the petitioners who are the owners and operators of the property grounds, Good Faith LLC, who should operate a BP Amico in there. Some overview of the existing conditions. It is an improved property located at the southeast corner of Old Bottom Road and Olive Boulevard. You can see in the aerial there highlighted in red. It's a 12,800 square foot lot. It's improved with a service station, has two pump islands on there and 2 mechanic bays, a small retail area and office at that corner. Again, the lot size is just slightly under 13,000 square feet. The current structure, according to county, was built in 1970. The records in our permitting show that the building was built around 1960. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy is in there. So it might have had some major remodeling or upgraded that the county reset the age of that structure in 1970. It operates under a special use permit that was issued by the city back in 1984. It was ordinance number 1463 in there. The site has been in operation as a service station well back into the 1960s. I'll go into that later. It is zoned COR, which is our commercial office retail district. And it is, in terms of its operation and several of its improvements, a legal non-conforming use on the site, meaning that it would, if it were to be redeveloped today, a lot of the buildings and even this type of use wouldn't necessarily be compliant with our code, but it is existing. It is grandfathered in there since it was built. A little bit of history on there. You can see the 4 aerials. If you go back to 1955, the property was undeveloped, and you can see Oak Estates along Hastings, the houses being built there. And you can see the construction going on at Olivet Center just a little bit to the north of that. By 1966, the structure is in place. And again, our records show that there was a structure there at about 1960. It was a rectangular structure with pump islands, and it appears to be the same size as it is today. And their county records show, though, that it was built in 1970. Its neighbor to the south and east is 9666 Olive Boulevard, which is Olivet Executive Office Building. That was built in 1970. And you can pretty much see how it kind of flanks that property, limiting any potential expansion or so. Not sure what the thought process was about not including that site back in 1970 in there, but it really limited the opportunities of that parcel, especially in today's use. The site has little opportunity to be acquired by any of its adjacent neighbors, given its value on Olive Boulevard and what the return would be on that site. So it's one of these things you kind of are stuck with, and the best thing to do is see how you can improve the site consistent with our comprehensive plan objectives. The next slide goes over what is a special permit and the special permit procedures, which are part of our zoning ordinance under section 1200. The Planning and Community Design Commission reviews special permit requests and then forwards a recommendation to the City Council. City Council has final approval following a public hearing and the adoption of the ordinance in there. So what is the intent of the special permit use process as opposed to a permitted use by right? Well, there are prescribed conditions that the use has to meet, just like a permitted use would be. The Plan Commission and the council have the ability to impose additional conditions to make that site more compatible with its surroundings. And the council also reserves the right to revoke or a special permit if conditions aren't being observed or the conditions have changed over time. So it is a pretty effective tool for the authorizations of land uses. And of course, it's decisions are made by the elected body, which is the council, in those with the assistance of the commission, of course, providing you recommendations and all that. What are the general conditions for special permit use, and what does the commission review when it does a review of a special permit? Well, it looks at the zoning district to ensure that that use is compatible and it's listed within that. And of course, this is a commercial office retail, which in this case, this is a commercial retail type of operation. The use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. We'll get into that a little bit further. In there, the comprehensive plan acknowledges, commercial development along the corridor. It looks for the expansion of some of these properties. However, this is a unique one in which the opportunities are pretty limited. ensures that the parcel is suitable for its use, considering its size, shape, location, topography, existence of improvements, and such. And again, this is a small parcel with limited opportunity for any acquisition or expansion of the site. That is, that the use won't alter its architectural character or impact traffic circulation or the site or building connectivity. Some of those being, again, principles within our comprehensive plan. That any spillover effects are mitigated. So this could be noise, light, and things of that nature that might impact the adjacent properties. In this case, again, it's flanked by the office building at 9666 Olive Boulevard. And again, the city maintains the right to impose additional conditions that it may see are necessary to mitigate any of these spillover effects. So our 2006 plan, which we use for the basis of our decisions, has four pillars or four principles for our goals. And one is to improve our community identity, to improve economic development along the Olive Boulevard corridor, to improve transportation connections, and improve open spaces along the corridor. And I'll note, take pride in terms of transportation connections. Since the adoption of the 2006 comprehensive plan, we have removed 14 curb cuts along Olive Boulevard. This being the 14th removed on the corridor. Several of them have been consolidated through redevelopments. We also have adopted 8 cross-access easements between various properties since the adoption of the comprehensive plan. And again, Olive Boulevard is a state highway. We don't have control of that state highway. So our realm of influence is through improving curb cuts, improving cross-access. And that's what our comprehensive plan tries to take advantage of. And again, 14 of these curb cuts have been removed in the past 10 years. On our findings, we do know that, this service station originally operated prior to 1966. That was the aerial that I showed you. Our records show that there was a permit issued in 1960, but the description is not, it's somewhat vague in there. The county notes that the current building was constructed in 1970. So again, I'm not sure whether the previous structure was raised and redeveloped exactly where it's at or not. There was no records to indicate. It currently operates under a special permit use as a service station with convenience store under ordinance 1463, which was issued in 1984. I could not find previous special permit uses or ordinances that were issued to the site or had a description of the site. But if this site was redeveloped or developed in 1960, there would have been a special permit that was authorized by the council at that time in there. It is a legal non-conforming use and a legal non-conforming structures on the site, given our current ordinance, which originally was adopted, or current zoning ordinance originally prepared and adopted in 1986 and recodified in 2008. Then just some general findings of facts in there of the existing use. We've actually seen in terms of the operator, which has been primarily a mechanic shop with a little bit of retail and office. Since 2014 to 2020, when the last business license was submitted by Mr. Hahn, we saw a 46% decline in its license revenue. And they're meaning that his overall business volume was slowly dropping over those past 6 years. In addition to that, the appraised value from 2012 to 2022, so the past 10 years, has only gone up 16.9%. And the property sold at 65% of its current appraised value. So again, it's one of these tough sites of what do you do when you're surrounded by a built environment that really has there's no benefit of acquiring that site or getting it consolidated with adjacent properties. So the next slide goes back to our comprehensive principles and the review of the commission, understanding that this was a site that we had no opportunity to obtain cross access. We had no opportunity to ensure some type of consolidation of this parcel with adjoining properties. How do we best make this effort move forward? Again, a special permit was already authorized for this service station, so they have the right to maintain that service station. The current special use permit authorized some retail or limited retail on the site along with the mechanic bays. What they were looking to do was essentially get out of the mechanic bay business and convert those mechanic bays into retail to give them some opportunity to reinvest and re-energize the business here at the corner of Olive and Old Bottom. So a couple of things going back to the comprehensive plan that the commission discussed with the petitioner was, what are we going to get in terms of improving our community identity? And they agreed, again, to remove one of those aprons on Olive Boulevard, to remove the pole sign that was in there and convert that corner to something with a monument sign and a little type of a smaller green space or identity space along there, to implement some of the chapter 428 streetscape improvements in terms of economic development. Again, looking for ways of how do you balance, this site, the limited resources coming into play, and improve the site, and again, get reinvestment on that property. How do we address transportation connections? Again, removing one of those entrances, improving the sidewalk circulation and access onto the site. And how do we improve open spaces? Again, getting that pole sign converted to a monument sign and creating some type of little public space up at the corner in there. And those were the results that were agreed upon by the petitioner and reviewed by the commission. And the commission motion to recommend to this council approval of the authorization of the special use permit. On the next slide, they'll note, working with the petitioner that, before occupancy is given to the commercial or the retail component, that they close one of those entrances on Olive Boulevard, that with 12 months after occupancy, that they work on a process to remove the pole sign, put in new monument sign, and do some sidewalk improvements on that property. Within 18 months after occupancy, fully close the Olive entrance in accordance with MoDOT standards, and prepare final streetscape and landscape improvement plans along the Olive Boulevard corridor in accordance to chapter 428. Recognizing, again, being cognizant of the resources, working with the owners of the property, and improving petitioner developer relationships. The commission also requested to have the ability to grant additional extensions at a written request from the petitioner to grant at least an additional 6 months if we couldn't meet one of these deadlines. That concludes the aspects of the presentation. I'd be glad to answer any questions. And Mayor, if I can enter, Chairman Pro Tem, if I can enter some items for the record, just to ensure, and that's on the next slide. The 2006 comprehensive plan, the June 2019 Olive Boulevard conceptual master plan, the public hearing affidavit of publication on September 12, 2022 on the St. Louis County, and the addresses that were notified that were included in your packet. The staff memorandum dated July 21, 2022 that was issued to the Planning and Community Design Commission. And of those who are concerned about traffic, the commission did request that an assessment report be provided by the petitioner. You have a copy of that assessment report that was prepared by the Lockmuller Group. We also had a resident submit an opinion letter that was Mr. Thomadson, dated June 7th, 2022. He's also here in attendance in support of the petitioners. The Olivet Municipal Code and zoning map, and then this presentation, including attachments before the council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Trejo. We are still in the public hearing. Are there any public comments from the audience? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Tomlinson. Please, obviously, please state your name and address. I think you probably know the drill.
Raphael Tomatson, 809 Newcastle Drive. I just wanted, I guess you see that I have a letter in support. I just want to clarify before I begin. As I'm a professor at WashU at the business school, PhD economist in terms of expertise. I don't consider these people my clients or anything. I was just wrote the letter free of charge based on my opinion of what I thought was best for the development of the city. It's well known in the economics literature that gas stations that have service stations just is not a viable economic model anymore. Actually, it hasn't been for decades. So I know when I moved into Olivet, I was very surprised to see one. Basically what happened is there was a time that this was a viable model, but technology for service stations changed, and you basically, if you wanted to do car repair, you basically had to invest a lot of capital to make that happen. And so we now have gas stations that survive with convenience stores, and we have specialized service stations that are not attached to the gas stations anymore. In terms of surviving just on gas revenues, that's also not particularly economically viable. And I think for this particular location, I mean, we saw what's happened to the revenues, but now, especially with Costco coming in and more gas pumps, in my professional opinion, the only way that this property has a chance of survival, and I don't think that's even guaranteed there, but is to allow them to open a retail store and try to do that, have a convenience, and try to bring products for the community in addition to running the gas pumps. And most gas stations, that's kind of the combination that works if they are able to survive. So if there's questions on the report, I'm also happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just say thank you very much.
Are there any questions? Okay.
I just have one on Mr. Trejo. Is this document in the documents that were attached here? I don't remember seeing it.
Yes, you have two documents in there. One would be the traffic analysis that was submitted by the Lopulent Group,
That
and
was,
then the letter that was prepared by Mr. Tomatson. That should be at the end of your packet. It's a letter, it's not a,
Right, I am. Okay. So. Okay, so are there any questions from the public? Yes.
yes, Mayor, if I can also introduce the petitioners that are here, just
Sure.
so to make them aware, Kumar Zaman, I believe, and Nazia Afzal. Both of these I worked with through the petitioning process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are still in the public hearing. Are there any public comments from we had anybody online? I take it there are none. So I will close the public hearing, and does the council wish to make any questions, comments or questions? Yes. Ms. Bolton.
Mr. Trejo, the only question I have is, could you tell me when the hours of operation are?
Those we don't have listed or defined. If the commission or the council wants to consider specific hours, we didn't place those in place. And we didn't, past practice has been like in the mobile station, which is our last special permit use that was issued for some type of service station. We didn't place hours of operation. The previous ordinance that you have a copy in your packet allowed them to operate up till midnight and then open up at 12:01 a.m.
Thank you.
Councilperson Waldman.
thank you very much. Is Mr. Zaman here?
Yes.
Sir, I have some questions of you, please. Hi, good evening. How are you? Good. In looking through my reviewing of things, but not getting all the way to the back to see your letter, I apologize. You had indicated that you cannot sell tobacco at this particular location in your communications to us. Is that still the status for you, sir, that you cannot sell tobacco at that?
Yeah, we are deciding not to sell. We cannot sell and we will not sell tobacco.
All right. I got a question from somebody with regards to liquor. Will you be selling liquor at this location, sir?
As for now, we are not pursuing liquor life, because we want to make it more kids and family friendly. That's kind of the goal.
Mhm.
So we are not even pursuing liquor license as for now.
Okay, I appreciate that. That were some questions from constituents and I wanted to take the opportunity to have their questions answered. Good luck to you. I look forward to coming in there when I need bleach or something else or, stuff for the home and enjoy seeing the kids. I do want to say, I still would like a secure crosswalk across, or even if it's just painted on the road. Carlos, I can still hear my mother screaming at me when I didn't admit crossing the street to go to Ben Franklin, but got busted when the receipt for my 45s were found on the ground. So, you know, that is still an unsafe area for kids on the north side, and I'm going to defend the north side, say our north side kids are going to want to come to your south side location. So we've got to be able to have safe access. And I realize the stop line is right there as well. I don't know whether we need to be doing something better on painting the streets for crosswalk. I haven't really checked it out myself.
Again, the improvements in Mary, I can address the issue on the painting on the sidewalks of what was intended. The internal sidewalk system within the site, there needs to be a dedicated access from Olive into the building. So it's not the north-south Olive connection in there or any offsite improvements that we were requesting on the petitioner. I will let you know that, of course, part of the 39 North consortium with the GRG, the City of Olivet, and the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center are looking at the potential of connecting Stacy Park going north across of Olive on the western side of this parcel to the vacant parking lot, and then eventually getting to the Plant Science Center on there. And we hope that will provide an opportunity for a improved north-south access at Old Bonham and Olive.
Any other questions? Okay, I will take that motion. Well, did I close the public hearing? I'm sorry. I did. All right.
Chairman Pro Tem, I make a motion to approve Bill number 2984, an ordinance to repeal ordinance 1463 and adopt in lieu a new ordinance to authorize Good Faith LLC, a special permit use to operate a gasoline station with convenience store on the property grounds addressed as 9680 Olive Boulevard.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl.
Yes.
Motion passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill number 2984 becomes ordinance number 2755.
All right. Next item, please.
Next item is bill number 2985, an ordinance adopting section 408 premises identification by reference and amending section 205.040B of the Olivet Municipal Code by adding sections 408.1, 408.4.3, 408.4.3.1, and 408.4.4.1 as amended. Second reading.
Okay, who's got this one?
I'll start this, and I have Assistant Chief Tim Fain will come up and talk a little bit more and answer any questions that you have if you want to come on up. Chief, and as we talked about at the first reading, this is specific to educational facilities, so schools, and it is a identification plan to make it easier for first responders to orient themselves to the buildings as well as where folks might be. So Chief Fain, do you have anything that you'd like to say or add or answer? And then he would also answer any questions that you have as well.
Sure. Tim Fain with the Olivet Fire Department, Assistant Fire Chief and Fire Marshal now, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. The School Safety Initiative was brought to me as a when I first was promoted in February. But there were schools that were already doing this prior to me taking this position. All of them except for one, which was Hillcrest. Hillcrest was just a smaller school. Logos had 80% done. Old Bonham, probably 70%. Emmanuel Lutheran, again, about 70% done. And what was done was just the identifications of the numbering of the rooms on the exterior windows. the numbering of the rooms on the interior of the classrooms and the hallway corridors. So there's the other part of the ordinance or premise identification is the color coding. And the color coding is when you walk into a school, you'll have different colors going to different hallways, different corridors. One might be red. Well, all those corridors in that hallway that is red, the numbering system will be red, inside, outside, and on the window. If you see it here, the numbering system, there are specific sizes. This is for the first responders, police officers, when they arrive on scene, if there is an active situation going on, shooting, killer, whatever that might be, they can go in and find out it's the blue hallway, room 234. This blue hallway is very identifiable than going to Mrs. Jones' classroom. Mrs. Jones' classroom might be a corridor left, then a right again. It might not be just right down the first room you go into. All right. I've taught school for 18 years on my days off. So I have some insight of teaching school, being a fire department, and being with the police department when we do our trainings for this. And knowing what we do at the school, what we did prior to changing a little things for the active shooter situation, these numbering system and the color coding is vital to getting in and saving people's lives on this. So the proposal was a very simple idea for me to take to heart, which I liked about this. The task force was brought from St. Louis County Emergency Management Office to the fire marshals. There was an issue with with St. Louis County PD getting into the schools, where fire marshals had a little bit easier way of getting in there. They had a little bit more of a rapport with them. And when I heard that and had the background of teaching on my days off, it's like, yeah, we have a good rapport with our schools here in town. I've worked with several schools, and when I went and talked to them in February, when I found this out, they were saying, we're already doing this, Tim. We can do this. And I agree. It's just now following the legal process here. All right. The only thing that I had changed a little bit in the ordinance, that what you see in red, is implementing this by July 1st, 2023. Old Bonham School has major renovations going on right now. So that process is going to take longer for them to finish up the color coding. All the schools actually pretty much have the numbering system. Most teachers know what room they're going to, and the kids go to the rooms. The other proposal was that you see in red, the numbering will be inside the door as well as the opposing wall. When we did intruder drills while at school, we brought the kids away from the door, parallel with the door to where you can't see them. But the kids, knowing this, don't know what room they're in besides Mrs. Jones' room. So talking to a few people with the fire marshals group, with school superintendents, yeah, this makes sense to put it on the opposing wall when you're standing in the corner and you don't know what room it is, but it's over here now in the same color. The other one that is the last part is the upper leftmost window in the classroom. And this is for when you first arriving officers and first arriving fire department gets there, they can see on the outside of the window, it's the furthest more, top of the window. And it's for two purposes: to see it from the outside. Hey, I know where room 204 is now, blue. It's also so the kids don't mess with that number, the uppermost topmost area. Right? We know how kids are, like to play with things there. So that's why I'd like to propose this, and I appreciate Ms. Sondag's help on this, and also the school districts who's already doing this. It's just now the harder part for me. That's all I have. If you have questions.
All right, are there any questions?
Yes, Chief, I have a question. So will this information, will it be put in the CAD system?
This information is going to be part of our pre-plan system with the fire department, but it's also going to be information that the police department will get, and it is going to be put into the CAD system. The information will be, once everybody tries to, or has this ordinance passed, or if they can get it passed, this information will be almost the same with each city. It can be different on the color coding. The color coding, there are schools that have asked me if we're not necessarily liking the idea of the primary colors. We like to stick with some school colors. The school colors are okay, but however, when Richmond Heights officer comes in and they don't know the maroon orange or the maroon color, and the color coding being simplified around town, around St. Louis, that's going to be helpful. But the fire marshals will have, hey, we need to get this closer to this color, to the primary colors. Old Bottom School is going to have a lot of colors. Hillcrest School, I have 2 colors, which is nice. Makes it simple. Did
Very
that
good.
answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Thank
Thank you. And,
Okay.
I motion that we.
Oh, no,
No.
sorry, no, I thought you were gonna have questions.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, okay.
Thank you. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you very much for that report. So I'm going to go to the question. I said, well, there goes my question.
That's fine.
Color coding, is it the same for all school buildings? And obviously your answer was no.
Correct. No,
Okay.
not necessarily. We're trying to get them to work as the
Mhm.
same, but
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
the schools like to stick with
Yeah.
the school colors.
Yeah.
Which is fine. However, they're going to have to add
Yeah.
some more colors to it. We're going to try to lean them toward what this ordinance says on the primary colors.
Yeah, and obviously a smaller size building is not going to need as many colors. Is that a right mindset of thinking?
Yes,
Okay.
that is right.
Okay, okay. Okay. Hi there. So I really like this a whole lot.
Thank you.
And I've had a little sidebar conversation and mentioned a couple things to the police department, the police chief. This is a first responder, wonderful situation. The first responders mean police as well.
Yes.
And you brought it up because I was going to bring it up. The example of the active shooter situation. I asked you. And I'm going to go into the shielding protection from an AK-15. This is good for how you get into a building. But I want my employees as safe as could be. And I would think that they would act better than some other areas of our country. So I really want to know more on the police end of this. I support this, but there's another half of public safety besides firemen having to get in for whatever. So, I want to know more about the access to the shields to protect the policemen. Is there knowing where they need to go into the building, should there be an active shooter? Part of the reason that what happened in Texas is because they didn't have the protection rightfully of what those kind of bullets could do for them to go do what they did. I mean, for them to go do what they did quicker. So I've asked, where are we on the ability to have an AK-15 shield or something with regards to our police ability to get into that building quickly and be protected from the bullets of an AK-15?
Could we save that maybe for a different conversation? Because I don't think it's necessarily in line with the process. I think asking the chief about how they might utilize the color coding is good, but I don't know if we should go into right now what equipment the police have in that instance. If we can defer that to another conversation so we can be better prepared.
As long as you do not forget that I would like for that conversation to be had, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, maybe it's a workshop.
If I
Okay,
may ask or add, we have worked with the police department. They're on board with this also, and it is a mutual training also that we would do. It's actually being developed as we speak to do some training along with them about this and the color coding.
Any other questions? All right. Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Bill 2985, an ordinance adopting section 408 premise identification by reference and amending section 205.040B of the Olivet Municipal Code by adding sections 408.1, 408.4.3, 408.4.3.1, and 408.4.4.1 as amended.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
yes,
Chairman Carl.
Yes.
Motion passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill number 2985 becomes ordinance number 2756.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Bill number 2986, an ordinance to approve a petition for a final subdivision plat for a boundary adjustment entitled 9320 to 9322 Olive Boulevard Consolidation. First reading.
Sounds like Mr. Trejo.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Chairman Pro Tem and members of the council. Again, my name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the city of Olivet. This bill before you tonight is just for the consolidation of the two properties. One address is 9320 Olive Boulevard and 9322 Olive Boulevard. The property to the west, which is 9322, is being raised. It's the old Neil Hair Design studio. It was once a residence and I think got converted to a residence office, then to the studio over the past several years. That building will be raised, and Lococo Publishing, who owns the adjacent building next door and operates a gallery at 9320, will be adding an addition. In order for them to do that, we need to consolidate the properties, remove the property line, so there won't be no setback issues and be compliant with the zoning ordinance. The addition approval has already been acted on by the city's Planning and Community Design Commission. Solely before the council tonight is just the ability to combine the parcels into one so that could get recorded with St. Louis County. Chairman?
This is a first reading, yes. Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Trejo at this time? Seeing none, okay, we will move on to the next item.
Bill number 2987, an ordinance of the city of Olivet, Missouri that repeals and replaces in its entirety Chapter 535 Sewers, Article 4 Residential Sanitary Sewer Lateral Repair Program Policy and Procedures. First reading.
I'm going to start it. Mr. McGregor is here to correct anything I say that might be inaccurate and to take other questions more specific to the program itself.
Tough job.
As the council is aware, we've talked about the sewer lateral repair program, looking for ways to make it more accessible to folks at various incomes. Currently, that program, owners have to pay up front, and then the city reimburses them. 80% up to a maximum. The council at a work session had decided that maximum should go up, and that we should look for a way to pay those costs to the contractor instead. So the folks who are less able to kind of pay these upfront costs and hold that debt until we get reimbursed don't have to do such. As we went through the chapter, we realized that when this was put in, it was, as the name says, policies and procedures. Ordinances don't typically have procedures in them because procedures
things that change frequently. You know, you don't typically say what form you're using. You don't typically say, you know, what every step of a process is. So we went through, and in fact, the ordinance hadn't been kept up to date there because there were some things that had changed with regard to MSD notifications and such things. So what you have before you then is the ordinance that kind of takes out those procedures. We tried to leave some things in there to make it clear. So like program eligibility, who is eligible, you know, that type of thing. We did leave in some definitions such as, you know, what is a sewer lateral service line? Where do you know, where does that line, from where to where will the city, is that service line eligible for the repair program? What's defective? What does that mean? But then with some of those kind of just those program procedures, we leave that up to the Public Works Director. And then we put in here again, what the council is responsible for, which is some of those policy issues, which is, you know, what do we pay for? What are not non-eligible costs? And then how does that payment happen? And this is where we talk about it happening upfront with the city paying the contractor. And so with that, I think that's kind of a general overview. And again, this is based on the actual experience of the Public Works Director, Bruce McGregor, who has, you know, seen times when making that upfront cost really is a lot for someone to maintain. Bruce, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add. If you could come up to the microphone, though. Sorry.
I would just say when we say upfront, that's in project completion, but not in advance of the reimbursement, just so we're
Right.
clear on that. We're not prepaying for the work we're paying. We would pay the contractor for work completed, but not in advance.
Right.
on it.
Are there any other questions? Are there questions? Any questions?
And this is just a first reading.
And there is a first reading. Okay, no questions. Next item, please.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. Thank you, Mr. Sondag.
Next item is the furniture purchase for 5 Oaks.
Beverly not here. Oh, there she is. Over there. Listen.
I was cleaning up.
Beverly Tucker Knight, the Park and Recs Director, and she's going to talk to you about the purchasing for the furniture. She has a fun item, purchasing of furniture for the new community center. Her husband was here earlier for Leonard Perry's retirement celebration. He did warn me that if she's bringing up new furniture, it's just save yourself some time and just say yes, it's okay. So just so you know that.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Beverly Tucker Knight, Parks and Recreation Director. So this evening we have before you an initial purchase of furniture for 5 Oaks on Warson, our new community center opening next spring. So just to give you a quick overview of the process for this. So we completed an RFQ and released that out. 6 firms, local firms submitted responses and their qualifications. They were reviewed by an internal panel made up of staff and the Navigate Building Solutions project manager. And of the 6 submissions that were made, we interviewed 4 firms. And following verifying all of their qualifications, we selected Color Art, which is a firm actually located on Warson Road, almost directly across from the new community center. That was very nice. One of the reasons, well, several reasons sort of indicated that Color Art would be the best fit for us. One is that they were willing to work with repurposed furniture from the old center and from bits and pieces from other city facilities. And they would be also able to house the furnishings for us because we were unsure at that time when we'd actually open. They also have the installation crew is on staff. So these sorts of things that they provided really elevated them among some of the other vendors. You know, there was a vendor we really liked who was wonderful, but they said up front, we will only sell you new furniture. So we really appreciated that flexibility. So we chose Color Art. We went through a process with them of function, and then they submitted to us a high-low budget. You know, here are some high, here's, you know, really high level, here's really low level. And we worked together to come up with a hybrid of that and incorporated pieces that we already own. We end up incorporating a little bit more than we anticipated for some of the lounge areas because of costs. And we also learned during the process that some of our very substantial, well-loved Herman Miller furniture actually doesn't fit in some of the uses that we were going to use it for. So, so we do have to purchase some office furnishings for the communal office. So it's been quite a journey. So before you tonight, we have, I would say probably about 75% of the furnishings for the new center. What I'd like to do is take you through kind of a quick grid that shows you what's new, what's coming over from the old center, and then there's a couple of purchases we will make separately. So Barb, if you could please open the, that's it. So on this is a layout of our new center. Everything in green on here is on tonight's item. So, oh, that's okay. That's okay. No worries. So you'll see that we are buying new tables and chairs for the multipurpose room. So I'm going to start here on the corner and kind of move the way through. We are also on this item purchasing the stools for the teaching kitchen, the tables for the teaching kitchen, the portable tables that will attach to the counter. Those are included in the construction project itself, so they're not in this item. The lounge furniture outside in the fireplace area, that is on this item. Then we have in the center of the lounge, we have what we're calling kind of our welcome center. It's a focal point of furniture. It's really a statement piece that we have that you can see. It looks a little bit like an upside or a sideways question mark. And then moving all the way down to the fitness center, we have a mobile cart that's going to be where people check in and out, use their badges to go into the fitness center. An employee can also be there, help someone if they want to re-up on their card or whatever. And they'll also be where you'll check out a basketball if you want to go play in the gym, or potentially a pickleball paddle. Then outside the changing suites, we have a nice little L-shaped seating area. So those are 2 bench seats that have a table in there. So if you're waiting for someone while they're changing, or if you're waiting for someone that's playing out in the pickleball courts, you have a nice place to sit. And then we're buying 3 rocker, heavy duty, soft seats for the esports area. We anticipate that they're rugged because we anticipate that they will be used heavily. Then moving over into the office area, we have tables and chairs for that conference room / workroom. We have a seat for the welcome desk. That welcome desk is actually built in as part of the construction. And then we have the open office area there for the bulk of the Parks and Recreation staff. Anything on this chart that you see is yellow, we're bringing over from the old community center. Anything, pardon me? Red is things that aren't purchased yet. They aren't included in tonight's item. So for example, we're buying a chair, a specialty chair for the parents' room that you can, that's a nice chair for sitting and nursing an infant or pumping if you're an employee and you need an area to do that. So we're having a nice chair there we're purchasing separately. And then the office furniture for the private offices, we're still figuring out what to do in there. And then one of the things we did in our value engineering is we eliminated the chairs along the corridor. So we have, you'll see a little green square inside the red squares. So we're purchasing that table, so it'll match the other lounge furniture, but we're still figuring out what to do with chairs there, seating there. And then there's little tiny green squares in the offices that are incorrect. So we do not, this item before you tonight includes seating for the open offices, the welcome desk, the kitchen and the workroom, but it does not include the chairs for those two private office areas. And now what I'd like to do is show you what this stuff looks like. Did you have a question? Sure, sure. They're green. They are being purchased. So red means it's either being purchased separately or we haven't identified it yet. So the tables in the kitchen, the rolling tables that we can reconfigure for classes or to use for the catering when they spread out their plates, those are included as part of the construction package for the kitchen. We are tonight buying just the stools for the kitchen, right? So what I'm going to do is show you, Barb, if you could please open the 3D rendering. I'll take you through what it's going to look like. You can pull it up here if that's, here it is. Okay, great. So here is again our map that you're familiar with, very familiar with. All right, so here is a 3D. This is the welcome desk. So we will have one chair there, and then we will roll out a second chair during peak periods when two people need to be there. But there'll always be at least one person here, and that is that's a task chair. And this is what it looks like. So it's going to have a navy blue seat, gray mesh, and black components. This is our lounge area for the fireplace. One change on this is we swapped out the glass top tables with wood top tables, just as a safety precaution. So we'll probably get some glass tops that go on top of that because I want to protect the wood from coffee mugs since we're going to serve a lot of coffee. But we have beautiful pleather couches and some really nice seating. And then that curved area where the two chairs are looking at the wall, that is the fireplace. So that will be where the stone is and the fireplace. And then there'll be a mantle there constructed from wood from our park. Okay, next slide, please. This is the detail of those chairs. You can see that it's kind of hard to see the fabric there, but it's a combination of wood and different fabrics. And we're not using real leather anywhere. The chairs, the couches we're bringing over from the community center that are existing, they're real leather. They've stood up really well, but here we really wanted to get the high performance fabrics. Okay, next slide, please. This is the chair in the hallway. I mean, sorry, the table in the hallway outside of the multipurpose rooms. It is. It's a little. It's like a coffee table that, not a coffee table, but it's like a side table that goes next to a chair, as opposed to a coffee table, which is what's in the lounge. But it's the same style. Okay, next slide, please. These are the tables and chairs for the multipurpose room. We are working hard to reupholster our existing banquet chairs, which saves us a significant amount of money because it turns out our banquet chairs are really nice. However, they were all flooded. So we are investigating that right now. But initially, the plan is to reupholster them. And they are not included in tonight's item because we're still figuring out, can they be saved? We have to check for mold and mildew. Yeah, but we're getting new tables. That's on tonight's agenda. And then to the side, we are getting the mobile carts for coats and things. And these are wonderful because they fold down for storage. Okay, next slide. No, we're getting 3. These are the stools for the kitchen. They'll be silver bodies with wood back and a vinyl seat. Next slide. These are the open offices. There's a better view of this on the next slide. These are from Steelcase. So what we're doing here is we're repurposing. There might be, Barb, there might be a third one that's even, there we go. This is a nice one. So what we're doing here is everyone's bringing their existing, what they call a box file, which is their cabinet. So we're repurposing those. There'll be a surface for their computers. And then to the side is an open a bookcase for everyone, which is wonderful. And you really see the shift that's happened in workplaces over the last 10 years. So when I moved to Olivet, 8 years ago, we had files everywhere. Everything was paper files. But we have really had a revolution in our offices and our staff are not using files. Everything's electronic. Very rarely do they even print anything out. I think I probably am the biggest printer in the office. I like to print things out, but it's very interesting as the young staff come along. So this open office here works really well for them. They're very excited about this. And then everything inside this space is tackable. So they'll be able to have their calendars or pictures or whatever they want on there. Okay, in the next slide. This is the workroom / conference room. And everything in here is on wheels, so it can be reconfigured so they can do projects in here. Okay, next slide, please. That's the detail of that. Here's our incredibly durable rockers for the esports. They're nice. They're very comfortable, but hopefully they will last for years. No, these are for the kids that are, playing the video games. Yeah. Yeah, this is what they want. Okay. Next slide. This is the statement piece of furniture. So I love this. This is when you come into the center, you'll see the fireplace lounge, you'll see the welcome desk, and just past that, kind of leading you in, is this wonderful seating area. And they can be reconfigured, but they'll be in this position most of the time. But if we ever did want to kind of reconfigure them a little bit, we can. But this is a really interesting, kind of lively piece that I'm very fond of this. Okay, next slide, please. That's the detail of the fabrics and finishes there. And this is that corner banquet that's outside the changing suites. Okay, and that might be, and this is the desk for checking into the fitness center. That might be the last slide. Maybe not. Yep, that's the last slide. Now, if you'd like, we can go through the detail line by line of every single item in there. I'd be happy to do it. Don't have it memorized, but we could pull it up on the screen. So let me know if that's of interest to you.
Okay. Do we have any questions at this point?
It was advertised through the city's website, and then we also actually sent it out, broadcast to a lot of different firms in the area. Navigate Building Solutions maintains a list, and they sent it out as well. So it was broadcast widely through the region.
This is the first reading, or no,
Nope.
this is the second reading. Oh, it's just an action.
Action,
Okay,
yes.
sorry. All right. Then I guess we're ready for action.
Mayor Pro Tem, I motion to authorize purchase of selected furniture, delivery and installation with color art right across the street, not to exceed $91,550.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes,
Chairman Carl.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Next item, please.
Agreement with EDM Inc. to conduct a stormwater analysis of a subsection of the Deer Creek watershed that includes sections of Heather Hill, Stony Side, Heatherwood Lane, and Ramsgate Drive.
Mr. Trejo.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the council. Again, my name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Olivet. And tonight before you, in accordance with our city's procurement policy, is a request to sign a contract with EDM Incorporated. It's a company that we've used for the past couple of years to conduct a stormwater analysis of a subsection of the Deer Creek area. And so the subsection is kind of like a micro watershed. This area primarily is located south of Old Bonham Road between Heather Hill, Stony Side on the west, and then on the east, the western boundaries or the eastern boundaries of the Ramsgate subdivision. Pretty much the old standard lane for those that recall, the old driveway that went down to the back end of Ramsgate. We've had concerns expressed regarding the stormwater, especially with the recent rains back in July and early August. What this analysis will do, we'll take a look at the existing infrastructure that is in that area, help us calculate the capacity of that micro stormwater, excuse me, micro watershed, and help us develop hopefully some options for consideration to improve the impact of stormwater within that general area. Again, this is an analysis. This is a part of a three-part review that we've coordinated with EDM in regards to a new home that was being built in the Stony Side Lane. And there, the first part assisting us in evaluate the improvements that were proposed for the new home. The second part to look at an inlet and its capacity that's just adjacent to, but not on the property grounds. And thirdly, again, to take a broader look at the micro watershed and look at the capacity and potential improvements to help improve the stormwater management on that area. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Trejo?
I would add just to, with the OMCI money, that there is a round application due November 4th, and we will be seeking to use the OMCI money for part of this. That's in the memo, but I just wanted to make sure.
I just want to make some acknowledgements here. I appreciate the city's quickness in getting involved in this. It was it was an important issue. That area is going to continue to be redeveloped, and changing and allowing basements within that subdivision that's never had things like that before. And we've already got some issues. So I just want to say thank you to the city for their quickness in response and looking to begin to look in this issue. So thank you all.
Motions? Motion to authorize city manager to sign agreement with EDM Incorporated to conduct a stormwater analysis of the subsection of Deer Creek watershed that includes sections of Heather Hill Lane, Stony Side Lane, Heatherwood Lane, and Ramsgate Drive.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes,
motion passed.
Thank you, Chairman.
thank you. Okay. Next item.
The next item is hearing from citizens, part 2.
Okay, there is no one in the audience, so I know no one locally wants to say anything. How about online? Please raise your hand. Being none, let's move on. Next item, please.
Review and approval of minutes.
Okay, did anyone see any changes? Okay, I'll take a motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Chairman Pro Tem, I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of September 6, 2022 as written, the minutes of the work session September 6, 2022 as written, and the minutes of the September 13th city council meeting minutes as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please poll the council.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Chairman Carl,
Yes,
motion passed.
okay, next item, please.
Next item is the city attorney's report.
First, the good news. No closed session this evening.
All right.
I also want to let you all know that I'm going to be going on a little vacation. I'm not going to be here at the next meeting. And other than that, I've got nothing to report.
We're gonna have your protege here.
We can figure that out.
I mean, I don't know if Barb wants it, that'd be great. So.
Yeah. Okay,
He was a nice guy. We'd like to see him.
fantastic. I'll see what I can do.
All right, that's it. Do I hear a
Make a-
motion for adjournment.
Second.
Oh,
I can't. Okay, make it.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
all right. So a second.
Second.
All right. We are adjourned. Couldn't you? I like to leave you on that.